But joining me now are CNN's John King, our senior legal analyst Jeffery Toobin, CNN political contributor Roland Martin, and former Justice Department official Victoria Toensing. Thanks. I don't know what the experience was like for all of you. I saw you on television all day.
It was riveting.
It was exciting, exhausting, but it is the part of our process. We go through it every single time. Obviously, the don't ask, don't tell military policy, U.S. policy, was on the top of many critics' questions today. And here's how she basically came out and responded. Here's how she feels about it.
I have repeatedly said that I believe that the don't ask, don't tell policy is unwise and unjust. I believed it then, and I believe it now. And we were trying to do two things. We were trying to make sure that military recruiters had full and complete access to our students, but we were also trying to protect our own anti-discrimination policy.
Did she satisfy the critics here, or does this put her in a position where she looks like a judicial activist, which is the bottom line? That's not what people are looking for.
I think she did what she had to do, which was she held the vote she already had. Jeff Sessions, the senior Republican on the panel, he's never going to vote for Elena Kagan. She's never going to satisfy him. But there was no rolling series of questions that suggested other senators, particularly Democrats, were going to abandon Kagan. And with 58 Democrats in the Senate, that's really all she has to do.
And it also didn't mean squat that she admitted that she was against don't ask, don't tell. We knew that. Look at all her writings that she's written on very few things. That is one of them. She has a record that she couldn't deny. The only thing she could do was say, of course I oppose it. I always have.
And we have to be honest, judicial activism is simply a code word used by Republicans to criticize liberal judges, when in fact there are conservative judges who are just as active on the bench, just like you have folks who are liberal. But again, so when we ever use that phrase, that's exactly what it's being used as. Both sides know very well what it means.
And Senator Jeff Sessions, John, you had a chance to catch up with him, talk with him afterwards after he pressed her on her role in all of this as dean of the Harvard Law School and the recruiting policy. I want to play that exchange real quick.
I was deeply disappointed that she seemed to have followed the White House spin and ignore the reality. She's suggested she was following the Third Circuit law when the Third Circuit law never applied at Harvard. She backed off of that.
Was there anything in your interview, do you think, that would have satisfied Senator Sessions? Did it matter what she said?
I think, to Jeff's point, Senator Sessions is 99.9999% certain to vote no. What was interesting about that exchange with Senator Sessions was his tone, in the sense that he thinks she's being factually inaccurate, describing when and how the recruiters were tossed off the Harvard campus, when and how they decided to let them back on. He says she only did it under pressure from their dean, at the president of the university, when they were threatened with federal funding. That will be litigated over the couple of days. But what was interesting from a political, tactical standpoint is Senator Sessions questioning her intellectual honesty. He said he didn't think there's a dishonest person. My question going forward is, does he come out so unhappy with this nominee that he goes to the minority leader, Mitch McConnell, and says, should we try a filibuster? Republicans have largely said they don't think that will happen. I think that is still the position today. But if they get raw about some other points, that's an interesting question. Most Republicans don't want to do that. They think this is a good election year for them. Independent voters don't like that. They don't like filibusters. They just want to have an up and down vote. But watch that in the next 24 hours.
Did anyone see a raw moment there?
But, well, no, Jeff Sessions was making a finer legal point, though, and I can understand. I didn't think she did very well there, because what the Third Circuit opinion did not have anything to do with Harvard. It actually covered another geographical territory. So what Jeff was saying, well, why did you change what you had to do in Harvard? Because this opinion didn't really affect you. And he didn't make his point as clearly to the layperson as he could have, and she danced around it.
But look, when it came to race use and admissions, there are a lot of people who were not covered by the Fifth Circuit decision who changed their university policies as a result of that decision that affected the University of Texas and others. But again, but people were anticipating what would happen down the road, so they said, we see how the court is going, so we'll change our policies here. So it's happened in that case, so I'm not surprised it happened in this case.
Elena Kagan said she would welcome cameras in the courtroom, and she said she called it an awesome sight when she was in the courtroom to watch the Supreme Court in action. What do you think? What do you make of that?
Well, this is an example of a generational change at the court. We've often pointed out that the voting records of Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan are probably going to be fairly similar to David Souter and John Paul Stevens. This is one issue where they really disagree, because Stevens and Souter were against cameras, and I think this is part of a slow movement that will ultimately get cameras in the court.
We pay them, we need cameras.
All right, we're gonna leave it there, and obviously we'll all be,
for the Supreme Court.